Good morning. I'd like to call the Environmental Protection Commission of Hillsborough County meeting to order for September. Everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation given by Chaplain Commissioner White.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Heavenly Father, this earth is your creation, and you allow us to live in it, and you've allowed us to determine whether or not we choose to be good stewards of this earth. So, Lord, I just want to thank you for this agency and for those environmental champions and stakeholders that support the mission of this agency. And as always, Lord, I pray for those first responders and members of our armed forces and our own community and across our country. I ask for all of these blessings in your heavenly name. Amen. Amen.
And do we have any changes from the agenda, any removals from consent?
No, Commissioner.
Thank you. We'll go now to public comment. Or I guess we won't go now to public comment. We'll start with our recognitions this morning, and we have a really important one. We have our number one recognition today. Commissioners, we're going to recognize Rick Shantz for all his incredible years of service. I can't believe you're going.
Commissioners, we're all, this is a sad day and a happy day all at the same time. And I just want to thank Rick. We do a Wordle, and this is not, we're going to have a function for him, which many of you are attending next Friday. This board is going to do a proclamation on October 3rd for his stellar service, but it's just not going to be the same without Rick. When I was brought on in 2015, I think it was Commissioner Christ, he said many interesting things, but one of the things he said was, I was the yin to your yang and you were the yang to my yin, and I think we have worked amazing as a team. You know, Batman and Robin, or whatever duo you want to, dynamic duo you want to say. But in the Wordle that we complete, Rick's number one word was kind. But there were so many wonderful words: integrity, genuine, zen. If you go into his office, it's very minimalist. There's not a paper out of order. There's Buddha sitting there, and he has just been many employees actually go to him to talk to him. So he's kind of, besides an advocate, he's been a counselor for the agency. And you can see that people just love interfacing with him. Today we have some people with us that are going to help in honoring Rick. The first individual is his wife, Darlene. So she is with us today. And the legal team, I'd like the legal team to stand up. We have Jeanette, Andy, and Rick Marotti. Just want to let you know that Rick is a hard act to follow, and his shoes are very big, but I'm proud to announce today that Rick Marotti will be general counsel following Rick Shantz's departure. He worked for the county, he worked for DEP, he's been with us 17 years. And also, Elaine DeLue will be our, stand up, Elaine, will be our Director of Administration. She already is the head of our technology and MIS, but she'll be adding human resources and financial to her background as well. So thank you guys very much. Rick, I think you should come on down. I'm going to ask Dr. Garrity, the former executive director who hired you, to come up and give a few brief remarks. But the bottom line is the Hillsborough County residents are so lucky to have had this gentleman steering the agency and helping protect all the natural resources of Hillsborough County. And so with that, I'm going to ask Dr. Garrity to come up and say a few brief remarks.
Thanks, Janet, and thank you, Commissioners, for affording this opportunity to me. It's great to see you all again, as always, and especially to be here this morning to honor Rick Shantz. I've known Rick for decades, all the way back to when he was Assistant General Counsel at the Water Management District, and I was with the state at DEP. We interacted. I knew his great reputation, and one of the best decisions I made as Executive Director was to bring him on board at EPC as the General Counsel. And I remember the morning we met, or maybe it's the afternoon we met at the Tropicana for coffee, and I got to know him just by chatting with him, and felt like he had the right type of personality and integrity to meld into the agency and to be of assistance to the board and to me. How would I describe Rick? I have some adjectives here, and you heard a couple from Janet already. Honest, ethical, fearless. Lots of controversies that you have not shied away from addressing. Creative, hardworking, loyal, but I also describe him as having one of the hardest last names to spell and pronounce. And every time I would write his name down, I had to think, T-S-C-H-A-N-T-Z. And Rick had a nice little trip to Switzerland several years back where he visited, I guess, the tombstones of some relatives there, the Schanzes, and got to see a little bit of his family history. Rick has been loyal to the executive director, but even more importantly, he's been loyal to you, to the board of this agency, and to the citizens of Hillsborough County, always one to be depended upon, and always willing to tell it like it is. Rick is kind of I would describe him as a quiet giant, never one to shy away from any controversial issues, and we've had plenty of them, anything from wetlands to noise issues. Remember the amphitheater? In fact, I was watching a video of the board meeting when the board made a decision to quiet that place down. And it's an interesting video. If you haven't seen it, you need to watch it sometime. And as Janet said, Rick is a confidant that employees always felt comfortable talking to about almost anything. They'd come in his office, close the door, and they'd always leave feeling better. Here's another role. Rick has been an advocate in Tallahassee, exposing and defeating annual attempts to preempt local resource protection. And that has happened almost every year. And every year, Rick is up there working with other counties and with FLARA to try to set that straight, and has been successful, thank heavens. Rick has served as Janet said, not just general counsel, but director of administration. So lots and lots of responsibilities back when we had to cut staff back in the tough economic times. Rick took on the duties not just of general counsel, but also director of administration, and that includes IT work, personnel, and finances. So lots and lots of responsibilities. I've never seen many more people more organized. If I would lose anything, which was very often with me, I'd just go into Rick's office, and he'd pull out a drawer in back of him, and there's a folder with all of the things I've been looking for. And you and Jerry Campbell have a lot in common as regarding organization. Thanks to his wife, Darlene, for sharing Rick with us these many years, and we wish them nothing but the best in the future. And it's been a privilege to work with you, Rick, these years. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
We do have some items to present to Rick. I do want to say that his farewell party is called Wild to Styled. It's hard to believe that this gentleman many, many, many years ago had a Harley motorcycle, and he swore that that Harley motorcycle was painted a custom purple, but his family said it was pink. So I asked him to show me the picture, and Darlene did a great job of telling us how he no longer has a motorcycle. He broke his arm on the way to Lamaze class with their son, showed up with the cast, and the motorcycle was gone the next day. So that's how we get the styled, from the Harley to being legal counsel as well for EPC. We do have some things to give Rick. Rick did not want a bunch of stuff to hang on his walls, but we have to give you the lucky turtle. It's always a good luck symbol to have a turtle. So, Rick, here is your turtle. This photo is from a well-known photographer out of Naples, Florida, and so that's where that little turtle was. The other thing, most of us know Rick and Arlene have been refurbishing and restoring a beautiful lake house, and it's been their pride and joy to do so, sometimes a little stressful, but they've got it in such beautiful condition. And they have grandchildren come there, and they have rooms that have canoe bunk beds and everything. But this oak tree reminds us of your house, and we wanted you to hang it there. And remember, everyone at EPC, when you look at it.
It's gorgeous.
It's from the same photographer from Naples, Florida as well. You're welcome. You're welcome.
A symbol of strength.
It is a symbol of strength, just like you. And the final thing is Rick's Lifetime Achievement Award. He picked it out himself. Everyone gets to choose what they want. It's absolutely beautiful. I didn't see it till today. I'm kind of scared to handle it because it's glass. But I'll let Elaine hand it over to Rick. I think you could just handle the gavel part. But it's a crystal gavel.
EPC logo.
What does it say on it, Rick? Let's see. It just says Rick Shantz, EPC General Counsel.
It's beautiful.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
And so with that, this afternoon we have a lunch where directors and staff will be saying their goodbyes and their thank yous and all their accolades. But right now, the floor is yours, Mr. Shantz.
Thank you so much.
Love you.
Well, I guess if I'd have known everybody liked me so much, I wouldn't enter drop 5 years ago. But I did want to recognize my wife, Arlene, coming today. She got a brand new job, semi-retirement, and the first thing she did is, can I have a day off to come to the county commission meeting? So thank you for being here. I don't think I feel as ready as most people to retire. You know, it's just you get into this program and then suddenly the day is here. And because I get up every morning to a job that I love, and everybody else at EPC does the same thing. And I don't think there's many people there that work there just for a paycheck. And I know that in this building, it's the same. It's the same for you. It's the same for so many people in this building. We do so many good things for millions of people out there, and we love doing them. And so that's what makes it difficult. It's more than a job, and it kind of gets caught up with your identity. So when you suddenly don't have that anymore, you're thinking, like, oh, what am I now? So I'm not doing that anymore. So that's why it's hard to leave. But you know, not being able to get up every day and come to work with EPC, the people that I work with, every Monday morning for 19 years, we've been going into senior staff meeting with Janet and all the directors. And I have to say, we have, I'll just call them debates about which direction to go in. It's amazing we come out as friends, but we always do. I love the directors that I work with. You know, it's going to be hard not to be with them every Monday morning. And with you for 19 years, I've been briefing you in your offices and your aides. I've been coming to this meeting every month for 19 years, and I like the action. You know, we're doing some good things. It's going to be hard. It's going to be really something that I'm going to miss. I'm going to miss doing. The executive directors that I've been able to work for, as you all know, Dr. Garrity, a wonderful, wonderful man. So many years I worked with him, and for the last 4 years, it's just been so energetic with Janet being the executive director. She really keeps things moving, all the plates spinning, and she's got so much energy, and it's very good for the agency. You've got a great executive director, and I've been lucky enough to be able to work for people like that as my direct bosses, and all the commissioners I've worked with too. The legal team, you just saw them. Rick Marotti is the most authentic person I know. He's smart. There's no transition involved here. He's been doing all of this work all of this time, and he's just going to step right in and do a great job. You're really going to like him. And side by side with him, Andy Zadro, 20 years here at EPC, so there's no loss of institutional knowledge that we worry about sometimes. We've had great sterling succession planning here. Before that, Andy, you know, also he's with DEP. And the heart and soul of everything is Jeanette Fagari. our legal assistant, when we've always told her that after college you should have just kept on going to law school, because she would have been a great lawyer, but she keeps the office running. We have a small but very efficient office, and it's been an honor to work with them. They've made things so well. And to have Elaine, coming on as the Director of Administration, everything's fine. I just want everybody to know that. I know it's time we need to get on with the annual report. So I just want to say thanks to everybody that's helped me have such a meaningful career. Half my career has been here at EPC, and it's just been the greatest. I love it. I'm going to miss it. And I know some of you have been able to work it into your calendar on the 27th. I think we're going to have some fun. They're going to roast me a little bit. I think we're going to have a good time. But thank you very much. And like I said, all I can think of is I'm just really going to miss this. Thank you.
Thank you. We have several commissioners
Yeah,
who
in the
have
queue.
remarks
We
that
have people in the queue that want to say something to you.
want to say something to you. We're going to start the roast early. Commissioner Overman, you're recognized.
Thank you. I want to share that well before I got in this seat, I had an opportunity and the pleasure to work with Dr. Garrity and yourself many years ago to protect the lower Hillsborough River. In negotiating with the Friends of the River group that was primarily in the Seminole Heights area, we're desperately afraid of what we were losing in the way of critical environmental and wildlife support for that river that was slowly but surely dying as a consequence of the saltwater intrusion, no fresh water, and the oxygen levels were at a level that were disastrous. With the work of your office and being able to negotiate with all the powers to be, we're able to actually prove that the minimum flow was inadequate to save the wildlife and the lives of the fisheries and the beauty that the lower Hillsborough River is. That work is so precious to not only all the wildlife in the community, but to Hillsborough in general and the Bay as well. So my first exposure to the EPC was that great work, and I can't tell you how much all of the community in the middle of town truly appreciates that. And that's just one piece of all the amazing work that you leave as a legacy for Hillsborough County as a whole. And I just want to say I'm hugely grateful for the fight and the courage that was spoken about earlier. It takes that to get it done, and I really appreciate all the work you've done. Plus, I do have a motorcycle bomber jacket to wear next Friday,
Cool.
so I'm looking forward to it. And it actually has pink in it too, so
Oh, good.
it'll
Well, see,
in
pink is
celebration
good.
of your
My
honor.
motorcycle was purple, but, it's the citizens were behind that. That was very, very helpful.
Well, we
That-
couldn't have
that-
done it without you,
yeah.
so thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're learning all kinds of things here. Commissioner White, you're recognized.
Thank you, Rick. Your resume and accomplishments speak for themselves. You've been working at a level where you get to interact directly with the commissioners on a regular basis, and I just have always appreciated the opportunity to be able to, come to you with issues, bounce ideas off of you, and, you've done an exemplary job here with this agency. I know you go a long way back, and, I know that you've done a lot of good things. I wish you and your wife the very best in retirement. And I have to say, I'd be remiss if I didn't say that I had a boss tell me many years ago that a good manager will have someone on their team that's ready to fill their shoes in the event that you move on to the next job, or in your case, retirement, whatever the case may be. And certainly you've been a testament to that with Rick Marotti being ready to step up into your shoes. So congratulations to the other Rick at the same time. But really, it's a well-earned retirement. I just wish you all the best. And with respect to this lake house, just remember that I love to spec fish, okay? So just remember
okay.
that.
Oh, yeah, we could do that. On the Rick Marotti, I stole him from the county attorney's office, and that doesn't sound like much, but it was when Emmy Acton was the county attorney and told me, "Don't you touch Rick Marotti," and I did it anyway.
Commissioner Miller, you're recognized.
Thank you. I have a problem with his last name also. Not only spelling it, pronouncing it is a problem. And I served as chair, I think, maybe 3 years, I believe 3 years, and had an opportunity to work very close with Rick, consummate professional. I mean, every time we had an issue or we had to deal with something, he was right on spot, and I want to thank you for that. I don't think that many public service people get thank you enough for what they do, but from me to you, of those years that I served as chair, you were always there. And then when Ms. Darty came on board, it's like a well-tuned watch. You all fell in step with each other. So thank you so very much for your service. We do have one thing in common. We married over our heads. I see that.
I agree.
So,
I agree.
So
with
thank you so very much, sir.
Yes, thank you.
Commissioner Smith, you're recognized.
I cannot believe I just get here
I
and
know.
you're leaving after our long history of working together in my past life as a citizen environmental activist and working on stakeholder committees, working on the Citizen Environmental Advisory Committee to the EPC, working closely with your office on many issues that are so important to our local environment and protecting our wetlands and air quality, pollution, everything. I just think you should not say goodbye, just say, I've changed my mind, I'm staying. But, you know, it's true. I identified with what Rick Garrity was saying, that you never shied away from controversy. You've steered us through some rocky times, ups and downs, and always been a strong but reasonable voice, and respected in all quarters, and calming influence on controversial issues, but you know, but very strong, guiding the way. And as a citizen, I've known you to be very accessible to the citizens, which is really important. All of these things for a regulatory agency, to have this representative at this level that could explain things patiently, calmly to everyone on all sides, and stay strong to what, and true to what you knew was right. Really, it does a lot to guide an agency like this that can get through into some, you know, tough issues where you need somebody to set that tone that people will respect from all sides. You've always been generous with your time as a citizen. You know, I really appreciate people in government who would take the time with citizens to explain things carefully and thoroughly and respectfully. So it's a big loss, but I do feel very confident that you're leaving us in good hands with the whole legal team here, and I've worked a long time with Andy and Jeanette as well. So I'm glad you're leaving us in good hands, and I wish you well.
Oh, thank you, Commissioner. I never would return one of your calls without getting thoroughly prepared. Because you were.
Commissioner Berman, you're recognized.
Thank you. I just want to take a second and just say good luck. And I know you're going to have a great retirement. I think there's many more opportunities for you. I don't think you should retire. Everybody's shaking their head. Consulting, you name it. I think there's plenty of places for you to land. Maybe you come here in the county.
That
anyway.
sounded like an uncomfortable laugh.
But no, I wish you well, and you've really done a good job. Going back to, gosh, when I was chair of the delegation, when we were in the legislature, remember I had, the year I was chair, we had to do the EPC,
The recodification.
the recodification, and That was a little bit controversial,
Yeah.
but we got through it, and it turned out great. So only with your help. So good expertise. You've just always been there for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So you're very well loved by this commission, that's for sure. And
I feel that.
I did not know about the Zen nor the motorcycle. So all I thought about when I heard both was Zen and the Art of Motorcycle
Yeah,
Maintenance. So
I
are
read
you-
that book.
I figured. So put them together. So, but I just want, I've known you for quite a while, back when I was an aide for Kathy Castor. And she was very much tied into the work at the Environmental Protection Commission. I actually do remember sitting in the back there during the meeting on the noise, and because I wanted to come in here and hear it for myself. But it's you've been wonderful to work with, great, and I will miss you so much. But I do think that there must be lots of ways that you will be working with us again in some way. So, and I appreciate all the work that you've done and the all the things that you've done for Hillsborough County. And it would certainly be a different place without you here. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your comments.
And I'll just remind everybody that Rick Shantz will receive a commendation during the BOCC Awards ceremony on October 3rd at 10 a.m.
Thank you very much, and we're going to take a picture now. I think all your remarks are so appropriate. He's a Jedi warrior with a very unique skill set, and after you've been in a meeting with him that's very controversial, everybody walks out of the room feeling good, and that is a unique skill set. And Sandy, I think he was kind of chuckling. Obviously, you have to sit out for a year. I think at some point he will go back part-time. He's not sure he wants to kind of just fish all the time at the lake house. But anyone who picks this gentleman up will be so lucky because he has just an amazing skill set. And Darlene and Rick, we wish you the best. Enjoy those grandchildren that you have. You got some weddings coming up. You got a trip to, is it Lake Tahoe? So enjoy yourself very much, and we'll grab a quick picture. Directors, anyone? Rick Marotti, legal team. We'll just, come on up, everybody. Who's here? Come on, Paula. Come on, Tom.
Actually, I'm consulting for Montessori School.
Oh,
Wonderful curriculum.
that's great. So we're now moving to public comment. Is there anyone wishing to address the board? Seeing none, we'll move to the consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve? Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Please record your vote.
Motion carried 7-0.
And we'll move now to our regular agenda, the 2019 EPC Annual Report.
Board members, it's a pleasure to come before you once again to report on our agency's progress, programs, and initiatives. This year, our theme is an eye on the future. Our mission, vision, and values provide the framework for our agency. We review them as part of our annual strategic planning process. The agency's core functions listed here come directly from our Enabling Act. Each of these core functions is an important component in protecting our environment. These are the 15 delegated programs from local, state, and federal agencies that allow us to give seamless service and, in some cases, one-stop permitting. Our Wetlands Division safeguards groundwater, surface water, and provides natural flood mitigation while preserving wildlife, habitat, and coastal shorelines. Within the Wetlands Division, there is an increasing trend regarding the number of new applications received. Applications for new reviews have increased by approximately 72% since 2010. The table is a synopsis of the permits issued and reviews completed by the Wetlands Division for 2018-2019. The Wetlands Division has multiple delegations and MOUs, or Memorandums of Understanding. Through staff's educational efforts and discussion of alternative site plans with applicants, the proposed impacts in 2018 and 2019 were reduced by 58%. The first chart captures the impacts that were completed during 2018 and 2019. More than double the acres of mitigation was provided compared to the total acres of impact. This was all required mitigation and a combination of creation, preservation, and mitigation. The second chart shows the acres of conservation easements provided during the same time period. EPC's conservation easements protect a property from impacts in perpetuity. A conservation easement is not required for every impact. Since I started in 2015, EPC began asking the development community to put all wetlands on a project under a voluntary CE, and the development community has responded very favorably. For 2018-2019, 149 acres of conservation easements were provided voluntarily. You've heard us say before, wetlands are the kidneys of the environment. Not only do they help filter our water, they also preserve the beauty of our environment and act as runoff storage areas, which are priceless given the more frequent and larger storm events. Our Air Division is responsible for protecting the environment, health, and safety of the public, and protecting our air quality. To the left is a map of our air monitoring network. We have a series of monitors that measure multiple pollutants in strategic locations throughout the county. We actually monitor for over 140 pollutants, with the most important being EPA's 6 criteria pollutants. These pollutants have the greatest impact to public health. The bottom right-hand corner gives you an idea of the size of the air particles we record. These particles can be smaller than 2.5 microns or 1/20th the diameter of a human hair. Of the number of air pollutants we monitor for, the most persistent is ozone. I'm happy to report that we are currently in compliance with the federal ozone standard. Generally, our high ozone days are due to meteorological conditions. This slide shows the progress we've made over the years. Back in the 1980s, the number of days that exceeded the EPA standard was over 60. But thanks to reduction at industrial facilities, vehicle efficiencies, and repowering of our local power plants, the number of days has decreased to less than 5. This map shows our 2 sulfur dioxide non-attainment areas, which were designated such by EPA in 2013 and 2017. The purple area is situated around Mosaic's Riverview plant, where we maintain a sulfur dioxide monitor. The brown area, which was designated based on computer modeling, is near the Hillsborough-Polk County border around Mosaic's New Wales plant. The good news is that Mosaic and TECO have achieved emission reductions and are now meeting the EPA air quality standard. EPA has published their intent to redesignate the purple area to attainment and is expected to do the same for the brown area later this year. EPA's index ranks air quality levels from good to hazardous. Overall, our local air quality is good, and we only have a few unhealthy air days per year. Our waste division is responsible for regulating solid and hazardous waste, brownfields, and abandoned landfills. The division also manages the petroleum cleanup program for both Hillsborough and Manatee counties, and the small quantity generator program. The EPC maintains a list of 177 old landfills throughout Hillsborough County. These are historic solid waste disposal sites or areas used dating back as far as the 1920s. Through EPC's long-standing Director's Authorization Program, we have assisted in the redevelopment of 104 of these historic sites over the past 20 years. The EPC has managed the Brownfields program in Hillsborough County since 2004, in accordance with a delegation agreement with the FDEP. This is an extremely successful and well-received program within the development community, and EPC continues to promote and assist in the redevelopment of impaired properties across the county, with the agency currently managing 35 sites. The EPC has managed the Storage Tank Compliance Program and Petroleum Cleanup Program via the contract with the FDEP for over 30 years. The EPC's routine tank compliance activities ensure proper storage tank operations and maintenance, thereby protecting the groundwater resources in Hillsborough County. This petroleum cleanup program works with and manages the activities of state and local contractors to oversee cleanup of impacted properties where petroleum discharges have occurred. By mandate of the Florida legislature, all counties in the state of Florida are required to establish a small quantity generators notification and verification program. And EPC has operated its SQG program since 1991. The program is self-funded by user fees. To date, businesses in Hillsborough County identified as having the potential to generate hazardous waste are approximately 16,000 in number. The EPC's program is based upon education and compliance assistance to business owners and operators. The chart shows that since 2015, compliance rates have doubled. Our water division protects surface and groundwater quality through the implementation of monitoring, permitting, compliance, and enforcement programs. This chart shows water quality trends for the 4 bay segments since the 70s. Across the top are the 4 segments of the bay. The orange indicates poor water quality, and green indicates good water quality. As you can see, the bay has dramatically improved since EPC began monitoring over 5 decades ago. This is the same chart focusing on the past 20 years. As you can see, the bay as a whole has achieved an average overall grade B every year since 2005. Please note that the lower Tampa Bay just missed the B grade due to the effects of the red tide. Overall, the water quality index for Tampa Bay continues to show an improving trend, and in 2018 through 2019, despite the area's population growth. Here we see EPC monitoring staff collecting water quality samples in lower Tampa Bay. Our monitoring staff doesn't just collect samples from our boats. Approximately 130 of our stations are sampled from bridges and roadsides. Here, our field crews are measuring water quality parameters and preparing bottles for sampling. The map to the right shows our extensive tributary network of stations and the corresponding 2018 Water Quality Index score for each site. As you know, the Water Division also performs special project monitoring, such as red tide sampling. We are happy to report that so far this year, Karenia brevis, the organism responsible for red tide, has not been present in any significant concentrations in our Tampa Bay area. Our Legal and Administrative Services Division provides human resource, technology systems, and legal support to our 4 operational divisions. The division also provides information and services to the public and houses the agency's outreach coordination. Our technology department has developed geographical information system dashboards that will benefit both the public and agency staff. GIS dashboards provide location-aware data, visualizations, and analytics for a real-time operational view of services, assets, and events. Dashboards also allow staff to view the activities and key performance indicators most vital to EPC's objectives. At EPC, we celebrate diversity and proactively seek minority applicants. We have an affirmative action committee, and we ensure a committee member is represented for each job interview. Our committee also partners in college and university job fairs, and we are currently exploring ways to greatly increase the number of minority candidates in our hiring pools. As the pie chart on the left indicates, over half of EPC's staff consists of females, and 30% of the agency's total workforce are minorities. In addition to tracking the percentage of minorities, we also look at promotional opportunities. In the past year, 77% of promotions at EPC were earned by females and minorities. We are ever mindful that we need to be smart with the resources we are given. We are still bringing in nearly $1 for every dollar we receive from the county, despite tighter funding at the state and federal levels. And as this slide shows, we are on track to return money to the general fund again this year. As I stated, the agency receives 1/2 of its total funding through grants and contracts. It is through these agreements that we provide air monitoring, groundwater and soil cleanup, and contaminant discharge prevention, which helps us to minimize reliance on the ad valorem taxes. Most of our partnerships are well established and have been ongoing for decades, and we will continue to work diligently to maintain those funding streams and seek new resources. This slide is also a continuation of our large number of partnerships and agreements. As you can see from this summary of agency complaint activity, we not only receive a large number of complaints, but have been prompt in our response. Of the 1,400 complaints received, we responded to our constituents within 3 days, over 97% of the time. And not surprisingly, noise complaints are the most pervasive. I am pleased to report for 2019 year-to-date, we met almost all of our self-imposed metrics for our core functions, and to date, from 2015, had not had a hearing come to this board because of successful solutions. It should be noted that we established self-imposed internal goals during the rigorous Sterling management process, wherein the agency was challenged to set a high bar and meet elevated efficiency standards. If I haven't said it enough, I would like to again thank you and Administrator Mike Merrill for recognizing the staffing needs we have in our Wetlands Division and for tentatively approving, as the BOC, the budgeting of 2 additional staff. All of our divisions engage in annual audits by outside organizations. In 2019, EPC had 18 audits covering all the audit types: performance, financial, and certification. We use these audits to seek continuous improvement of our programs. The Pollution Recovery Fund provides grant money for projects to restore polluted areas and mitigate the effects of pollution. It is funded solely by administrative penalties obtained through enforcement. Since 1987, the PRF has provided over $8 million in grant funds for 169 environmental projects throughout Hillsborough County. These funds are often leveraged with other funding sources to help pay for much larger environmental projects that benefit all of the citizens of our community. This slide shows all our current open projects, and they are spread throughout the county. These are the same projects that come before this policy board for approval. As this slide reflects, we expect to have challenges in 2020. We support our ability to retain our local authority for environmental protection. And we thank our local legislative delegation and county's governmental relations staff for their support. We know that the county is proactively exploring adaptation to changes in our climate and hardening our shorelines for future generations. And EPC remains committed to being a part of that solution. Development is rapidly occurring, and as population continues to grow, maintaining our level of service is always a challenge. And Commissioners, I just wanted to give you a quick heads up that we just completed a 9-month pay range study. EPC's pay ranges need to be adjusted to come in line with the county's pay ranges. We will be coming back with a presentation to this board early in 2020 to try and remedy this situation in the mid-year budget. I've summarized where we stand in meeting our mission requirements, but our efforts do not stop there. We have many non-regulatory initiatives that not only enhance what we do, but give service to our community. We learn and improve on what we do by listening to feedback from businesses and citizens that we interact with, and we will continue to do so in the coming year. Our feedback groups are comprised of business and community leaders that reflect those represented areas. I mentioned outreach earlier. Outside of responding to environmental complaints, public outreach is the primary way our community knows we're here. During this fiscal year, our staff participated in nearly 60 outreach and community events, touching thousands of citizens, with the annual Clean Air Fair attracting the largest crowd. We also engage with the community and other partnership organizations to foster sustainability and environmental stewardship. Some of the initiatives we work with include promoting the use of alternative fuels and energy sources, such as going solar and building resiliency for a brighter tomorrow. Staff collaborates with other Hillsborough County government departments and organizations around Tampa Bay to promote projects and initiatives that are sustainable, meaning they incorporate a triple bottom line approach where the environment, economy, and community all benefit. And maybe our most gratifying contact is our philanthropy. We have a very active in-house committee that coordinates all of our efforts, and their enthusiasm is infectious and spreads through the agency. You can see from the list the variety of events we have been involved with in 2019. Since the last time I presented this report, we've had some agency milestones, some of which you participated in. The agency was recently recognized by the Planning Commission for a wetlands research project. Our long-serving administrative manager, Leslie Campbell, retired after 42 years with the agency. We celebrated Elizabeth McCaffrey of Carrollwood Day School as EPC's 2019 Environmental Merit Award winner. And we inducted the agency's first executive director, Don Rogers, into the EPC Hall of Fame. And lastly, before I close, Commissioners, I just want to share with you this heartwarming short video from the children at Learning Gate Elementary, thanking this board for the air they breathe. I was there that day, and I guarantee there may be future leaders sitting on that stage that will one day not only protect the air we breathe, but the water, the wetlands, and the land too. And finally, none of what we do is possible without the assistance and support given to us by you, our board, Administrator Mike Merrill and his staff, and the dedicated and wonderful staff of EPC. Thank you all, or as they say in Hawaii, mahalo. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you for that. Any comments, questions? Seeing none, we'll move. Oh, okay. Commissioner Overman, you're recognized.
I just want to say this agency continues to impress. And to Mr. Shantz and your work here, the commitment you've made to our community and our home rule is not lost on all of us. Without your passion, without your commitment, and pursuit of excellence in the way the Sterling has bubbled up through your entire organization, is an example of what good government really looks like, and I really appreciate your report. I do have a couple of items that I'll bring in the future that I saw today, and I want to say thank you for all the work that you provide Hillsborough County citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
I was really just taken by the charts on the air quality and water quality. That was amazing to see over decades how the improvements are. It's good to have that history, but just jumps out at me when I think about the presentation.
Yes, Commissioner. It's always important to have data and charts over time to see where you're trending. And I think EPC does a good job. Our stuff is shared with the Estuary Program and USF and other organizations in their scientific presentations as well. But again, thank you so much for your comments, and we're continually improving, as you see. So thank you.
Thank you. We'll move now to a briefing on the Executive Director's evaluation procedure.
Yes, I'm going to handle that. So, Commissioners.
One of your last hurrahs.
This is. Following the annual report every year, the evaluation of the Executive Director occurs the following month. So in this packet, we've passed out the forms. This might be the first time for some of the Commissioners to do this, and able to help you fill out the forms on a 1 to 5 grading scale. 2 more documents are going to come your way. Our goals that you adopted last January and in how we're meeting them will come to you in a packet, and also a self-evaluation from showing the EPC milestones over the past year that you can look at, and it will help you be more objective in grading the papers. We're asking that they be turned into the Chair's office, Commissioner Kemp's office, by October 10th. We can collate them all, put all the scores average, and bring them back to our October 17th board meeting. You can have your discussion on evaluating the Executive Director at that time. And we'll send them over electronically. You have them hard copy, but however you want it, we'll get them all gathered up.
Great.
Appreciate your participation in that.
Thank you. And finally, we'll move to the Executive Director's report.
Thank you, Commissioner. And I did want to say, if it hadn't already been said, that as in past years, I'm available to come meet with you if you have questions, or talk to you by phone, accessible if you need to chat. In front of you was an article that was on the front page of the paper yesterday, which was really nice. This features Barb Getting, Tom Ash, and I think this is an intern, is it not? Okay, awesome. And so right down here, if you want to read more about it, you can just go to that link right there, but we also have it on our website. And commissioners, everyone at EPC would like to thank all of you, and especially Commissioner White, for championing and support yesterday for dedicating a small portion of the BP oil spill funds for EPC's water monitoring program. I think you see from the presentation and you'll see from this article how valuable the water monitoring division and the work they do is. So thank you so much. And before I start the executive director report,
Can
did
I
you want
just,
to?
just with this?
I didn't
The
introduce
intern,
the
I
intern.
know.
yeah.
There was a whole article besides the Bitly link. I mean, I read it in the paper on the front page about the microplastics
Okay.
besides the picture.
Okay.
And so I just wanted to let other commissioners know. And in fact, I'm really glad, and I saw the EPC's role in it, but also, you know, I thought it would be a good topic in the future to kind of get us to hear more about it. It was deeply, deeply concerning, the content of that article, RBay, as well as, I guess, all the waters worldwide. But I'm sure it's no different. But I was, I mean, as much as you don't want to almost know this, it was, you know, I'd like to know what we can do or where, you know, more about it and, you know, what action we might be able to take.
Yes, Commissioner, we'll get with Tom Ash and the individuals at USF and the estuary program. We'll come back with a presentation in the future.
Thanks.
Yeah, Commissioners, if I could take a moment to introduce our intern in the legal office, Emily Prue. Would you stand? Sorry to surprise you. This is Emily Prue. She's a third-year Stetson Law student, and she's been working with us for a while now, and she's very valuable, doing a lot of good work for us. And I just wanted to recognize her and introduce her to you. So thank you, Emily.
And I interrupted you, sorry.
No, I wanted to make sure that we introduced the legal intern. So you can interrupt me anytime, ask any questions. Just a very short executive director presentation here. Commissioners, on September 9th, I addressed the local legislative delegation. At the same time, Rick Marani, myself, and Rick Shantz have also been meeting with legislators one-on-one in their local offices to raise awareness regarding environmental issues and to educate them on our services as well. Next, I'm proud to announce that Kim Tapley has co-authored a paper on coastal development strategies. This study specifically examines the impact of coastal development strategies on long-term coastline changes by comparing Tampa Bay and a comparable ecosystem in China. Both areas have rapid growth in recent decades with intense pressure on ecosystems. We applaud Kim for her important contributions and insights in support of this study and plan to bring this study in front of the board in the future. Daniel Moore and Joe Kinke of our Water Division conducted a joint presentation at the 2019 West Coast Fats, Oil, and Grease Inspections Workshop. That's a mouthful. In attendance were mostly public utility workers from various municipalities, but we recycle grease here in this county. We have a receptacle at EPC, but grease is bad for pipes, so it's nice to see the contractors getting in on this and utility individuals. Tanya Vidovic, the host of the Sustainable Living Show on WMNF, interviewed staff on air with topics ranging from contaminated soils and Superfund sites in Hillsborough County to our brownfields and petroleum cleanup projects. I would like to thank Allison Amram and Charles Dowman of our Waste Division for the great job they did during this live discussion. This link can also be found on EPC's website. EPC presented an agency overview and shared recycling and conservation tips with aging services staff and their clients. Additionally, we participated in a recent USF job fair event where we provided information to interested students about current and potential job opportunities at EPC and the county, as well as information about our internship program. EPC will be participating at Jan Platt Day on September 21st, hosted by the Friends of the Jan Platt Library, in honor of her public service, environmentalism, and civic engagement. We are ever grateful for the lasting legacy she has left our community. We will also be participating in the 12th Annual Yes Fair on October 5th. The fair continues in the memory of founder Becky Forsell and provides disability awareness, education, and resources through community networking. Last year, over 200 vendors and 1,200 people attended this fair, and we are honored to help support both of these events. EPC has another opportunity to volunteer to support aging services at their 4th Annual Hispanic Heritage Celebration on September 29th. The event will feature music, song, and dance performances honoring both traditional and contemporary Hispanic culture. Many of the participants will be dressed in their native country's attire as their favorite Latino music icon. EPC staff will be hosting a team to conduct water cleanup at Lowry Park Boat Ramp on September 21st. The event is hosted by Keep Tampa Bay Beautiful. Our staff annually participates with this and other cleanup efforts around Hillsborough County, and I think the first year I did this, Rick Shantz had his very long, skinny kayak out there and had it loaded down with a shopping cart. We have that picture, we'll show it. It was loaded to the brim, and we had so much fun that day cleaning up the river. So it's nice to do it every year and get out there and clean up the Hillsborough River. And finally, October is Energy Awareness Month, and we are partnering with Hillsborough County Sustainability staff to share tips for energy efficient savings. Staff is collaborating with TECO to host several energy efficiency lunch and learns, which will include a free energy savings kit for all that attend. We will also highlight some of the county's innovative efficiency projects, like the Central Chiller Plant that uses ice and chilled water to cool the air used in the county's AC system, saving taxpayers over $1.5 million in electricity costs annually. And with that, that concludes my executive director remarks.
Thank you. Commissioner White, you're recognized.
Thank you. Is Kim Tapley going to present her work to this board at an EPC meeting?
Yes, sir.
When do you think that'll happen?
We need to coordinate it, but within
Okay.
hopefully the next few months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Has Planning Commission staff been provided with her work?
I don't know, but we'll make sure that happens. We'll get with Melissa Zornito and Sean College, and we'll make sure that they see that work as well. Why don't we'll give the presentation there first, and then we'll come here and give the presentation. It takes some coordination because there were other authors involved. It's
Yeah.
kind of like bringing Maya Burke from the Estuary Program over. It's not just our staff. We need to get their blessing as well.
Will you also have Melissa Zornita send applicable Planning Commission staff to this meeting when they present here?
Oh, absolutely. And,
Great.
and the county's environmental staff as well. We will invite them. They have a team under Lucia Garces. So
Okay.
we'll have everybody here so everyone can listen.
Great. Yeah, that
Yeah.
could be an opportunity to see how this could, fit with Hillsborough County's comprehensive plan. So, okay.
Thank
great.
you so
Thank
much
you.
for the suggestion, Commissioner.
Yep.
Thanks. Commissioner Smith.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
It is.
And something I look forward to. I keep thinking it might be a good idea to have a future item spot on this agenda for just the very end of commissioner ideas. One idea that I had discussed briefly with Ms. Doherty and then gotten a little bit of follow-up from staff is there's an item on our consent agenda about a study being done by USF about fecal contamination and pollution going out Sweetwater Creek and Bullfrog Creek to Tampa Bay. And with all of our county's discussions about the need to convert septic tanks and low-pressure sewer systems because of pollution events given, in rain events, I think that would be really interesting when that is done. I see from the response I got back from EPC staff, Sam Al-Rabi, that that study is going to be finished in December now. So I just would like to put a bug in everybody's ear to bring that back here when it's done. I think it'd be a lot interesting on a lot of levels.
Okay, awesome. We'll make sure that happens. And also, the vulnerability assessment will come in front of the county. We jointly did it together 2 years ago when it was initiated. So we will make sure, commissioners, to all of you, that we're there for the presentation, whether it's when it's finalized, which I believe it's in its finality, with the county environmental team, and we'll make sure the Planning Commission is there as well so they can hear that vulnerability assessment when it's rolled out.
Thank you. And Commissioner Overman?
I'm glad to hear that both of you are very concerned about this. We are rescheduling or putting back on the agenda the Development Mobility workshop on October 17th, I believe. And the issues associated with environmental concerns needs to be part of our overall development process and planning. It'll impact some of our zoning issues and comp plan, I'm sure, but those issues are critically important given the deficit we have in our stormwater, solid waste, and wastewater resources that we will be addressing over the next few years in terms of how that is impacting our environmental concerns. In addition, I wanted to take into consideration where FDOT is on its SEIS for the interstate changes that they're proposing, especially north of 275. I was taking a look at your air monitoring sites and saw that they were actually very well placed all around the county. However, given ozone is one of our biggest challenges, it would, given we've had changes in patterning as we've grown, there's increased issues along 275 north of the interchange. And I didn't notice a site at that location, although FDOT may have one. So when we're addressing our mobility challenges and how that intersects with our development, having EPC's involvement in that is very valuable, and that's why I wrote down a note, get Kim Tapley's report. Whether or not we're doing a presentation or not, I'd love to have an opportunity to read it ahead of time so that we have a chance to be best prepared for questions or concerns or compliments on the research as it's presented to us when we can get it on the agenda. So thank you very much, and thank her for the work that she's doing. I think it's going to be very valuable in our efforts to address our planning in the future. Thank you.
Yes, Commissioner. And we make sure you get the report, but also I think last time, we gave you a draft presentation of what we were giving out at your briefings, but we'll make sure this final presentation makes it to you electronically as well. So did you have anything?
Update on the Spanish Heritage Event that actually happens today. It's
Oh,
not later.
I'm sorry. I misspoke. Just a correction for the public that the Spanish Heritage event happens today, not later in September. I apologize. So if you want to go there, it's today.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, we can put this on the future agenda topic.
And we'll get all these topics into our future presentations. Obviously, those are lengthy presentations, a lot of meat there, but Commissioner Smith was at the Agency on Bay Management and heard Maya Burke talk about the inclusion of NOAA and EPC and the estuary program in port planning. And I do think it's important, as Commissioner White stated, that all voices are at the table as the plan is emerging instead of the plan coming out and then those voices weren't heard at the beginning. So that's a wonderful, wonderful recommendation. Thank you.
And seeing no other comments, we're adjourned.
Thank you, Commissioners.